Hello friend, John Dalton here, Further Emergence podcast where we explore consciousness and the mystery and love. And this week we're going into certainty, tenderness, self-care, the authentic self, and dealing with difficult people. Now, let's have a quick review of the memes from the Further Emergence Instagram feed. The first one is a lovely picture of the backyard, and it's a quote from Lao Tzu. And it says, without the pretense of certainty, it's easy to be compassionate. And I feel very strongly about this one. Many years ago, like over 30 years ago, I had an exhibition of photography. And under it, I had quotes from the Tao of Being, which is a translation of the Tao Te Ching by Ray Grigg, the Tao of Being. Highly recommend it. I've read lots of different translations of the Tao Te Ching and none of them resonate with me, but this one does. The Tao of Being. Anyway, these were all quotes from the Tao of Being, and this one on its own was one of the photos. It was like 36 different photos. It was a lovely exhibition. Anyway, there's something beautiful. I sort of feel like if the world adopted this, there would be a lot less problems in the world. Because it seems like most of the conflict comes down to certainty. I am certain, I am right, and you're wrong, and let's go and have a fight about it. And that I can see this in my own experience, like in my own interpersonal reactions. The more I let go of certainty about things, that I know things, the easier it is for me to be softer with people. The easier it is for me to be compassionate with people. So I just love this. I think this is just like, if I could only have one phrase for my whole life, this is the one I'd choose. Without the pretense of certainty, it's easy to be compassionate. Beautiful. Way to go, Lao Tzu. Next one is of it's like the outside of a movie theater, and it's like in the place of where the film would be advertised. It says, it's in your self-interest to find a way to be very tender. It's kind of similar theme, and it's lovely. And the idea of it being in your self-interest, I think I didn't write this, I didn't make this one, but I think what it's getting at is if you can find a way to be very tender in a world, an external world that tries to convince you that being hard is the way to, you have to be hard, you have to be tough, because things happen, like just natural things happen. People get sick, people die, people get, accidents happen. So those are like body blows. And then people do terrible things to each other as well. They betray you, they lie, they cheat, they talk about you behind your back, they exclude you, they do all sorts of things. So it's easy to kind of come to the conclusion of like, just be hard. They're all hard. I'm going to be hard. I'm going to be hard because the world is hard with me. But ultimately that just makes you hard and tight on the inside. And it covers over your sweet nature. And eventually you look in the mirror and you can hardly recognize yourself. So that's why it's in your self-interest to be tender. It's not to be vulnerable, because we all are vulnerable, but to be with the vulnerability, to not pretend you're not vulnerable by pretending that you're really tough and really hard. Ultimately, your inner nature will come more and more to the surface, and it can be very hard to be vulnerable and tender, particularly around people who are very intent on hiding the fact that they are also vulnerable. But if you can stay with it, you're staying true to yourself, and yourself is that's what looks back at you in the mirror. So if you are true to that, it can be difficult, but then being hard is difficult as well. There's no easy way with it. You sort of pay a price both ways, and if this price is a lot less than the price for being hard. Because when you're hard, everything hardens up. Your cells harden up, your arteries harden up, your body hardens up, you're covered over. You can't be as loving as you want yourself to be. You end up saying things, snapping at people, and then going, God, what did I say that for? And then you can't, because you're hard, you can't apologize. Because you're hard, you can't go, look, I'm sorry I said that. I love you. That's the last thing I want to do is hurt you. Can't say that because you're hard on the inside. Whereas when you're tender, very tender, those kind of things just flow out of you. If you screw up and say something you didn't mean to say, you can just almost in the moment go, oh my God, what did I say that for? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Of course I don't mean that, So it's in your self-interest to find a way to be very tender. And then the last one, again, I didn't write this, but I think it's great. It says, self-care is saying no to the things that make you feel like shit. And the shit at the end is like a real shock, It's like, wow, what did you just... But it's great, isn't it? Because it's so simple and true, self-care. Because we can get kind of caught up in all these ideas and concepts and regimes and all this kind of thing. Whereas just coming back to this very simple thing of self-care. Yeah, here, let me explain that for you. It's saying no to the things that make you feel like shit. Now, I would add a little kind of distinction to that. That's not to say like you, if you notice pain on the inside, that you run away from it. That doesn't work. You can't, as I said before, you can't get away from it. It follows you. It's not like when you stick a hand in the fire and you pull your hand out of the fire because it's a natural thing to do. On the inside, if you stumble onto an emotional fire, if you try and pull your hand out of that, it'll chase you. It'll chase you around on the inside. It doesn't leave you alone. So you have to kind of do the counterintuitive thing then of going into it and feeling it as much as you can, which is very different to going along to a brunch that you don't really want to go along to with people that you don't really want to be around who say, that's what this self-care is talking about. It's not talking about not dealing with your pain on the inside when it comes up. Not like you go hunting for it. It's a bottomless pit. I can save you the trip. It's a bottomless pit. Okay? So you don't have to go hunting for your pain. But when something happens and it's up, that's the time to be as brave as you can, and instead of running away from it, to turn and face it. And you can do it. You can definitely do it. You're very brave. You can do it. Turn, face it, and go, let me feel this as much as I can. But the brunch, don't go. The person that makes you feel like shit, don't be around them. Don't give in to any sense of obligation or you should. Doesn't matter who they are. If they make you feel bad consistently, then you don't have to be around them. No one says you have to be around people or things. If your job makes you feel like shit, get another job. Change jobs. And yes, I can say, I know there's lots of reasons, but start with the thing of, this job makes me feel like shit. I am going to get a different job. This friendship, this isn't really a friendship. This person, makes me feel terrible. I'm going to not be around those people. Because the thing is, they're taking up space in your life. All these things take up space in your life. And then the new thing that doesn't make you feel like shit can't fit in there unless you make some space for it. So get the things out of your life that make you feel like shit. Okay, farm news, not a huge amount. Lots of sheep around, as you'll hear in a minute. So they're still around, and they're very funny. I did go for a walk up the other side of the valley. That was very nice. I'll bring you up there another time. I'll do a little outside broadcast from there. But other than that, the weather has kind of changed. We were supposed to have the beast from the east, but it didn't come. It was like a wind. That was it. The temperatures dropped a little bit, but nothing too serious. So I put up a thing on Instagram saying, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your spiritual life at the moment? And I had a couple of responses. The first one was disconnecting from the body-mind rather than recognizing the authentic self. And the other one was dealing with difficult, controlling, jealous, inefficient, avoidance-focused people. So to answer these, let's go outside. Well, I would encourage you to think about the terms authentic self. I'm always very cautious of anything that divides me up on the inside. And I know we have to use words, and words you know, they have to make sense, but that only goes so far once the words don't divide us. Because there are different parts of us for sure on the inside, but it's all part of the overall whole. So it's a bit like people talking about the higher self. I'm always very suspicious, or not suspicious, but kind of cautious of using higher self, because, well, there's a thing in public speaking where they say that the point, or what you're trying to do is, you're not trying to get rid of the butterflies before you public speak. You're trying to get them to fly in formation. And there's something about that I think is wise, in that it's not a case of trying to get rid of your mind body, or to get into a fight with your mind, or that there's something wrong with your mind if you you feel like it's obscuring your authentic self. It isn't really. It's more to do with focus, like where your focus is. And just because your focus happens to be on your authentic self, and then suddenly you find you're thinking, and you're like, oh God, I'm thinking about, I'm not with my authentic self. That doesn't mean your authentic self isn't there. It just means you're not focused on it right at that moment. And it's a bit like being in a forest, or being on the edge of a forest and looking into the forest. If you focus on the trees that are closest to you, the ones in the distance are not so clear. Or if you focus on the ones in the distance, the ones that are up close are not so clear. All the trees are there all the time. They don't change. That doesn't change at all. What changes is your focus. So it's kind of the same with the authentic self and the sort of things we feel on the inside, where we sort of feel like we've lost something, or can't go this way. Water's too deep. We feel like I don't know if you can hear the sheep. They think I've come to feed them, which I am not the human that feeds them, as I mentioned last week. But they don't know that, and they're kind of going, "We're over here. We're over here, you dope." So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It's the idea of a separation, that, if you're caught up in your mind, bear in mind your mind likes thinking. So when your mind is going, "Oh no, I'm not in my authentic self," that's not really true. That's your mind having to think about it, which your mind likes to do. Now, just on the off chance you're actually talking about coming into your body, or what people call coming into your body, that's a different thing. And there's loads of different things that you can do to help with that. Wow, these sheep are really talking to me. Yeah, there's lots of different things you can do about that. Like, you can, meditation. There I am going on about meditation again, but it's true. It really helps. And how it helps is, it helps you come into your body more. In a way, well, you don't really ever leave your body, but when you're meditating, you become more conscious of the sensation in your body, because the whole thing about your body is the sensation inside it. We kind of think of it as a container, and this thing that we can go out of and astral project out of. And I'm not going to get sidetracked on astral projection, but I'm just laughing at the sheep. You're always in your body. It's kind of the same again. It's more to do with focus. on whether you're conscious of being in your body or not. Because it can be easy to feel like you're not connected with your body, but that's not actually true. You're always in your body. It's more to do with whether you're aware of the sensation or not, or whether you're conscious of it, or focused on it enough. And it's one of the things that meditation does, and yes, I do talk about meditation a lot, but one of the things that meditation does is it helps you become a bit more focused on the sensation in your body, because it's the sensation of your body that helps you know or feel grounded in your body. So it's never a case that you actually leave your body. I don't think that's actually a correct description. It's always more a case of focus, whether you're focused on it or not. So yeah, so two perspectives on that. One is, and they're both really the same, but to do with focus, that you're never not in touch with, or your authentic self is never not there. It's always there. And your body is always there, the sensation in your body. Just don't, you can do it now, close your eyes and just focus on the subtle tingling sensation of your fingers, inside your fingers. That's a much more real registering of your body than this idea of your body. So it starts with sensation, starts with focus. What was the other question? Dealing with difficult, controlling, jealous, inefficient, avoidance-focused people.
Oh yeah, annoying people. Okay, I know the person didn't say annoying people. They said lots of different things: controlling, self-deceiving, and lots of other things. But it comes down to just people who are difficult. And I mean, it's a kind of a spiritual cliche, but like, annoying people can be very helpful to show you where you're getting triggered. What are the sort of things that are bothering you inside yourself? Because, I don't really subscribe, or I haven't really had this experience of we're all connected, we're all the same person. I never looked at anyone else's eyes. I kind of keep coming back to that. I kind of think of it, but I do think of it in terms of that if someone is bothering me, or if I find somebody disturbing, or they disturb my peace, well, there's a good chance that what they are doing is like something in me that they are doing that I don't like, because I don't like that bit of me. And that's really helpful, because it mightn't be that obvious. I'm just walking around, it's all lovely, everything's lovely, it's great. And then I bump into this person and they're really mean, for example, like with money mean. I'm like, oh my God, that person's I hate people who are so mean. Now really, what's if I didn't have that in me, not the meanness, but the concern. If I wasn't concerned about being mean, it wouldn't bother me. Just kind of like shrug my shoulders, slightly, nonplussed or confused almost even. And I would just like go along on my merry little way. But because it triggers me, and when I say trigger, I mean it annoys me. I kind of go, God, that person, that mean person, I hate when people are mean. It means, well, why is that bothering me? What is it? What's going on there? Is there some part of me that is a bit concerned that I might be mean to? Maybe I am. Maybe there is a bit of me that is a bit concerned about being mean as well. So it's helpful in that regard. The other way people can be a bit disturbing is if you try and change them. That's a real recipe for getting upset, is wanting to change people. And then, you know, what follows on from that, if you have that thing of wanting to change people, or I wish people were different. I wish people were different to the way they are now. If you have that, then it can lead you to try and change them. And that never works either, in my experience. You know, both ways, you know, like you have somebody that you care about and you come across this thing, John Dalton's podcast, for example, and you go, oh, I really want to share this with this person, or I want to pass on something that I heard, and they, you know, you don't get anywhere with them. They just very resolutely hang on to what they, seeing things the way that they've been seeing them. And, you know, you can get very upset about that. What I've found is this idea of waiting for the question. And what I mean by that is, like, what often happens is you'll meet a friend and you'll go for a walk together, for example. It's the noisy gang. You'll meet a friend, you'll go for a walk together, and your friend will tell you all about their problems. And you think they're asking you a question. You think they're saying to you, hey, can you help me solve my problems? But they're not. They're not trying to help you solve. They're not asking you to help them solve their problems. They're asking you to listen to them, telling you about their problems. There's a big difference. And often you'll find you'll run into trouble. I'm laughing at the sheep. Often you'll find you'll run into trouble trying to tell people, I give them answers, to questions they didn't ask. And I've found that it's much better if you wait for the actual question. And how you know the difference is, they will ask you directly. Look, I'm the Pied Piper of sheep. They'll ask you directly the question. They will, and often the tone of voice changes, the energy changes, the vibration changes, whatever way the frequency changes, whatever way you register it, it will change. And the sheep are hilarious. I feel sorry for them because they, you know, wrong human, sorry. Very upset. How dare I not feed them? I don't even know what they get fed. So, yeah, listening for the question. There is a perceptible difference in energy, and they will, you know, maybe they'll make eye contact with you. They'll look at you in a certain way, and then you'll know, oh, okay, that's the question I was talking about. And if you can just know the difference and listen to them while they're reporting on whatever is making them unhappy, because, you know, you've got a big heart like me. Someone's telling you about how unhappy they are. You want to help them. Of course you do. But I have found the most helpful thing you can do is wait. Wait for the question, because it will come. And when it does come, then what you say, you know, when the actual question comes, it's like a little window opens up. And before the question, there is no window. Before that question comes, there's no window. So it just bounces off them like a little force field. But when the question comes, then there's an openness and then they can hear you. So 2 things on that then. One is they're useful. Annoying people are useful because they show you what's triggering you, what's bothering you. What have you got going on that you didn't even know you had going on? That's very helpful. Now I should add a little caveat. That doesn't mean you stick around for abuse at all. Get the trigger, go, oh, okay, that person triggers me. Then if they persist, then don't be around them. And they're like, well, that's fine, John, but I'm married to them. Or that's fine, John, I work for them. Well, stop doing both. I know that's radical, but, you know, you've only got a short life. I think it feels like it's long, 90 years, 100 years if you're doing well. That feels like a long time. It's not. It goes by very quick. And as I was saying last week, particularly say with love relationships, it's a moment to moment kind of thing, and you're asking yourself about it. So if you do your best in love to communicate, this is not, I'm here for love. I'm not here for this. So we can work through it together in love, or not. But I can't stay with this. And similarly, there's many jobs in the world. There's many ways of making money. There's no reason to stay. Don't care how difficult it is for you, or how much you feel like you need the job. It's similarly like you'll find that there's something in you that is hanging on to it. I know that sounds very unhelpful. But I kind of have to say that because I have the objectivity of not being in your life just to give you the feedback. Just like somebody, I could, and you've probably had this, you talk to somebody and they come up with a million reasons why their shit situation should stay shit. And it's so obvious to you what they need to do. Well, it's kind of like that, so I have to kind of lay it out a bit like that. I understand things are difficult, and, you can have concerns, and like one thing about worrying about money is it drains blood from your brain, and it all goes into either your jaw or your legs to fight or run away. So it's hard to see things clearly. I get that, but if it's your job, well, get another job, change, because it's your, this deeper part that I was talking about earlier on. It's that part that's driving the train forward. You're just strapped to the front. That's the way I feel anyway. I'm just strapped to the front, doing my best to figure out what's going on. But it just will do what it wants to do. So may as well become proactive in it and change the situation. So don't put up with the abuse, but recognize everything is a clue, everything is feedback. So you can use it like that to see what's going on inside you. But don't stay. Don't stay, and don't put up with like unnecessary abuse or suffering. You definitely don't want that. Okay, back to the studio / kitchen / living room.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that little romp around. That's all I've got for you this time. I trust you're well. I trust you're of good cheer. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.